Family. It's a word that carries so much weight, so many memories, and a multitude of emotions. It's the first word many of us speak, a simple sound that signifies the beginning of our journey in this world. The first group we belong to, our initial sense of community and belonging. It's where we learn to share, to care, and to understand the essence of togetherness. The first place we learn about love, relationships, and let's face it, life. These early lessons are imprinted on our hearts and minds, shaping our perceptions and interactions. Our families are our first teachers. They guide us through the basics of life, from tying our shoes to understanding the complexities of human emotions. They shape our views on everything from work ethic to how we handle emotions. The dinner table becomes a classroom and every conversation a lesson. Like a blueprint, our family dynamics lay the foundation for who we become. Think about it. Every interaction, every shared moment contributes to the architecture of our character. If you grew up in a home where arguments were the norm, you might find yourself prone to conflict. These early experiences can set the stage for how we handle disagreements and stress. Conversely, if your childhood was filled with laughter and open communication, you might naturally gravitate towards healthy relationships. The joy and openness you experienced become the pillars of your social interactions. But here's the catch. Just because you were raised a certain way doesn't mean you're destined to repeat the same patterns. We are not bound by our past. We have the ability to forge our own paths. We humans are far more complex than that. Our capacity for growth and change is immense. We can reflect on our upbringing and choose to embrace or discard the elements that no longer serve us. We have the power to choose a different path, to break free from negative cycles and build a better future for ourselves and generations to come. It's about recognizing our potential and taking deliberate steps towards a brighter tomorrow. Understanding how family dynamics have shaped us is the first step towards creating positive change. It's a journey of self-discovery and healing where we learn to navigate our emotions and relationships with greater awareness. It's about taking ownership of our lives, rewriting the blueprint, and ultimately becoming the best versions of ourselves. By acknowledging our past and actively working towards a better future, we can create a legacy of love, resilience, and growth for the generations that follow. We all know the saying, monkey see, monkey do. Well, it holds true for humans, especially in our formative years. Children are like sponges, absorbing everything around them. They learn by watching and imitating the adults in their lives, primarily their parents or caregivers. Think about it. A child who witnesses constant yelling as a way to communicate might grow up thinking that's normal, even acceptable behavior. Similarly, a child raised in an environment where affection is rarely shown might struggle with emotional expression later in life. It's not just about overt actions, it's about the subtle cues we pick up on. A parent's anxious energy, a dismissive tone, the way they handle stress. These all get internalized by a child, shaping their understanding of the world and how to navigate it. But here's the thing, learned behavior isn't set in stone. We're not simply robots programmed to repeat our parents' mistakes. As we grow, we gain experiences, encounter different perspectives, and develop our own sense of self. We have the power to unlearn negative patterns and choose a different path. While our upbringing plays a huge role in shaping our behavior, we can't ignore the influence of our genes. From the moment we are conceived, our genetic makeup starts to play a crucial role in determining various aspects of our lives. These genes, inherited from our parents, carry the instructions that dictate everything from our physical appearance to our susceptibility to certain diseases. Genetics provides the basic building blocks of our personalities, predisposing us to certain traits and tendencies. For instance, you might inherit a gene that makes you more likely to be a morning person, or one that gives you a natural talent for music. These genetic predispositions can shape our interests, our habits, and even our career choices. Some folks are naturally more introverted, while others are wired to be extroverts. This isn't just a matter of personal preference, it's deeply rooted in our genetic code. Introverts might find solace in solitary activities like reading or writing, while extroverts thrive in social settings, drawing energy from interactions with others. But here's where things get even more interesting: epigenetics. Unlike genetics, which is relatively fixed, epigenetics is dynamic and responsive to our environment. It's a fascinating field that delves into how external factors can influence the way our genes are expressed, without altering the underlying DNA sequence. This field explores how our environment can actually switch genes on or off, influencing how our DNA expresses itself. Factors such as diet, stress, and even social interactions can lead to chemical modifications that affect gene activity. These changes can have profound implications for our health and behavior. It's like having a light switch for your genes. Certain experiences can flick these switches, impacting everything from our mental health to our physical well-being. For example, a stressful event might turn on a gene associated with anxiety, while a positive experience could activate a gene that promotes happiness and well-being. For example, studies have shown that children who experience trauma or chronic stress can have their genes altered in ways that make them more susceptible to anxiety or depression later in life. This is because the stress can lead to epigenetic changes that affect the regulation of stress-related genes, making it harder for these individuals to cope with future challenges. But on the flip side, a nurturing, supportive environment can have a positive impact on gene expression, promoting resilience and overall well-being. Positive experiences, such as strong family bonds and supportive relationships, can lead to epigenetic changes that enhance our ability to handle stress and bounce back from adversity. The takeaway here? Both nature and nurture are intertwined, working together to shape who we are. Our genetic predispositions provide the foundation, but our experiences and environment can modify how these genes are expressed, leading to a unique and dynamic interplay that defines our individuality. Understanding this complex interplay is key to breaking free from negative patterns and creating positive change. By recognizing the power of both our genetic makeup and our environment, we can take proactive steps to foster positive experiences and mitigate negative influences, ultimately leading to a healthier, more fulfilling life. We've talked about how family dynamics and genetics lay the foundation for our behavior. These foundational elements shape who we are, influencing our actions, reactions, and even our thought processes. They create a blueprint that we often follow, sometimes without even realizing it. Now, let's get real about the negative patterns that can get passed down through generations like unwanted heirlooms. Think about addiction. It's a heavy word, but it's a reality for many families. Addiction can manifest in various forms, from substance abuse to behavioral addictions like gambling or even workaholism. If you grew up with a parent struggling with substance abuse, you might be more likely to face similar challenges. This isn't just about the genetic predisposition to addiction, it's also about the environment you were raised in. Watching a parent cope with stress through substances can normalize that behavior for you. It's not just about inheriting a genetic predisposition. It's about learning unhealthy coping mechanisms and normalizing destructive behaviors. When these behaviors are all you've known, they can become your default way of dealing with life's challenges. The same goes for toxic relationships. These patterns can be just as damaging and pervasive as addiction. If you grew up in a household where conflict was the norm, you might find yourself replicating those dynamics in your own relationships. If you witnessed unhealthy communication patterns or experienced emotional neglect in your childhood, you might find yourself repeating those patterns in your own relationships. It's a cycle that can be hard to break, but recognizing it is the first step. It's crucial to remember that these patterns aren't your fault. You didn't choose to be born into a family with these issues, and you didn't choose the environment you were raised in. However, acknowledging this can be empowering. You didn't choose the environment you were raised in or the genes you inherited. But understanding this can help you take the next step towards change. It's about taking responsibility for your own life and making conscious choices to break free from these negative cycles. But you do have the power to break free from these cycles and create a healthier, more fulfilling life for yourself. This isn't an easy journey, but it's a worthwhile one. It starts with small steps and a commitment to change. The first step is recognizing the negative patterns that are holding you back. This might involve some deep introspection and honesty with yourself. Journaling can be a helpful tool in this process, allowing you to track your thoughts and behaviors over time. What behaviors or thought patterns are causing you pain or preventing you from living your best life? Identifying these is crucial. Sometimes, talking to a therapist can provide the guidance and support you need to uncover these patterns. Once you identify these patterns, you can start to challenge and change them. This might involve setting new boundaries, learning healthier coping mechanisms, or seeking support from friends, family, or support groups. Remember, change is a process, and it's okay to seek help along the way.